Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to subscribe, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, late at night, Char is using Haruto's surveillance magic, spotting some suspicious people in a nearby forest. Just then, Flay interrupts, having heard from Char that Haruto has been fighting bad guys himself, offering to join him for his upcoming journey. Not wanting Flay to make things more complicated, Haruto asks about the tasks he's assigned her, but Flay states that she had finished all the yard work she had been assigned and had scared off the monsters approaching nearby villagers. Seeing that Flay and Haruto will be working together, Char begins thinking about all sorts of adventures, with Flay as Haruto's sidekick. Playing along, Flay states that she'll devote herself to Haruto and fulfill Char's ideas, but when Haruto asks Flay to drop the act, Flay scolds Haruto for not thinking about Char's imagination. Before Haruto and Flay head out, Haruto orders Flay to keep the violence to a minimum, especially with Char watching over them. Cutting to the suspicious people, we hear them bragging about the goods they had stolen, excited about the food they'll get to buy. Suddenly, Haruto appears from the darkness in his transformed form, introducing himself as the Black Knight. Right after, Flay follows after Haruto, introducing herself as the Crimson Knight. Conjuring a flame in her palm, Flay tosses a fireball towards the men, burning the men alive, all whilst Haruto orders Flay to not act so violently. Stopping Flay's flames, Haruto casts a barrier around the men, protecting them for the time being, only to appear beside Flay, ordering her to halt all attacks. Obeying Haruto's orders, Flay holds back from finishing off the men, watching as Haruto ties up the men. Returning to his room, Haruto is clearly exhausted, but hears Char amazed by Flay and Haruto's teamwork. Thanking the little miss, Flay states that she couldn't show off all of her power today, but next time she will. As the girls continue to chat, Haruto states that he's conflicted between working with Flay or not, as Flay is uncontrollable at times, but with Flay, Char is happy. Cutting elsewhere, we see that Prince Laius is still embarrassed, suffering from defeat from a nobody like Haruto. Hearing his attendant calling him, he asks his attendant to enter, reminded that he must prepare for a banquet very soon. As Laius dresses up, his attendant proposes that he invite Char to his farmland tour tomorrow, but when Laius refuses, his attendant gets serious, forcing Laius to accept the proposal. Back with Haruto, we see that Char had returned from the same banquet with Haruto's clone, serving Haruto some high-quality food from the banquet. Haruto's clone gets mad that he was forced to socialize, leaping into bed exhausted, but Haruto reassures his clone that he'll personally be attending the farmland tour tomorrow. Hearing this, Char mentions how Prince Laius had invited her to the farmland tour as well, weirding Haruto out. That night, Haruto makes preparations for the farmland tour tomorrow, since Char is coming along. First he checks the tour route, spotting some hooded men gathered around a ritual circle. Immediately heading out, Haruto transforms, appearing beside the men, asking if they have permission from his father, Gold Zenfis, to be casting a spell here. Assuming that Haruto is an enemy, the hooded men all prepare spells to fire at Haruto, but Haruto reacts fast, interrupting the hooded men's incantations and blasting all the men away. Seeing a single hooded man still conscious, Haruto watches as the man uses the ritual circle to summon skeleton knights. Creeped out by the skeletons, Haruto equips a sword, destroying the skeletons in a single swing, but just like in the games he played, the skeletons refuse to die. With the hooded men calling all the skeletons to pile on Haruto, Haruto erects a cubic barrier around himself, blowing the skeletons away, only to spot a red crystal in the skeleton's chest. Ordering his skeletons to continue attacking Haruto, the hooded men are terrified to see the skeletons are now attacking them, forcing one of them to summon a golem, destroying the skeletons. Turning its attention to Haruto, the golem swings at Haruto's barrier, managing to send Haruto flying back into a tree. Having underestimated the golem, Haruto spots the same red crystal in the golem's chest, leaping into the air to get a better angle. Conjuring a spike, Haruto tosses the spike directly at the golem's crystal, which absorbs the spike, shutting the golem down temporarily. When the golem wakes up, it turns on the hooded men too, making the hooded men wonder the cause of this. Appearing behind the hooded men, Haruto explained that he had intended to shatter the crystal cores of both the skeletons and the golem, but instead it seemed that the projectile he created with his magic overrode the crystal cores, making Haruto the new master of the skeletons and golem. Tying up the hooded men with his new summons, Haruto attempts to interrogate the leader of the hooded men, but realizes that his threats aren't working. Coming up with an idea, Haruto makes the leader watch as his men are buried alive, finally able to get the leader to reveal that he is the part of the personal summoner unit of the queen in a neighboring kingdom. Wondering why the hooded men are even here, the leader reveals that they had planned to summon creatures to attack Char tomorrow whilst they were on their farmland tour. Pissed that they are targeting his sister, Haruto demands to know the reason, learning that the queen is aware of Char's maximum potential, fearing that Char would be able to sway politics in her favor in the future with her overwhelming power. Thinking rationally for a second, Haruto deduces that the only queen that would be after his father, mother and Char's life is his biological mother. Pissed at this woman's disgusting intentions, Haruto vows to protect his family, plotting a plan to deal with the queen's schemes. The next morning, Haruto, Char, Laius and Marianne all sit in a carriage. Seeing Laius in a grumpy mood, Char attempts to cheer Laius up, stating that he should be proud of losing to Haruto, but this only gets him more mad. Demanding to know how Haruto was so physically skilled during their duel, Haruto reveals that he can perform any modifications to his physical body whenever, surprising Laius and Marianne. Laius wonders if Haruto is a returned demon, prompting Char to explain that a returned demon is born when a demon has a child with a human. These returned demons have extraordinary physical prowess and large mana pools, but the only difference between Haruto and a returned demon is that Haruto doesn't have horns or wings. Just then, the carriage stops, having arrived at a massive wheat field, right before sundown. With Laius and Marianne watching over Char as she explores the field, Haruto asks to have a word with his father. Sitting down, Haruto asks what his father would do if Char were to be attacked, prompting Haruto's father to reveal that he had gotten a letter last night from the mysterious Black Knight, warning him that the queen is after Char's life. Sadly, Haruto's father can't do anything, since the death of the queen means that there would be a power struggle for the throne between nobles. Haruto's father reveals that Haruto's biological father, King Jilk, fell from power long ago. Haruto's father states that before Haruto was born, King Jilk and Queen Giselet were part of the army that defeated the Demon King. Having been the one to personally decapitate the Demon King herself, Giselet was hailed as a hero, given the title Flash Princess, even marrying King Jilk. Ever since then they had 3 children, Prince Laius, Princess Marianne and Haruto. But there are rumors that Queen Giselet is trying to take the kingdom for herself. Knowing that he himself is not suited to take the throne, Haruto's father mentions that the only way to overthrow the queen is to have someone more powerful defeat her, hinting at the fact that he plans on waiting for Char to be old enough before involving her in politics. Haruto's father states that he knows Char is a genius, even having the potential to outgrow the Flash Princess Giselet herself. Until then, Haruto's father asks that Haruto watch over her. As Flay and Haruto walk through the field, Flay offers to bring Haruto the queen's head, but Haruto states that they must make sure Char grows up safely first, only then will he personally slay his biological mother. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like and comment.